The Amish have been farming the same land for over 200 years in Pennsylvania, Ohio, and Indiana, and those fields still produce. No synthetic fertilizer, no irrigation systems, no lawn care programs. The same soil that great-great-grandfather broke open is still black, rich, and alive today. Meanwhile, the average American homeowner has been pouring money into bags of Scots every spring and still watching their lawn thin out, yellow up, and fill with weeds year after year. There is a reason the Amish land keeps working and yours keeps struggling, and it comes down to one thing. The Amish feed the soil. Most Americans feed the grass. Those are completely different things, and the gap between them shows up every summer right in your front yard. This video walks through every common lawn problem one by one: brown patches, bare spots, grubs, drainage, dog spots, weeds, and yellow color that no fertilizer touches. Using the same soil-first principles the Amish have applied to their land for generations. These fixes cost a fraction of what you are currently spending. The brown circular patches scattered across the lawn in July, the ones that look like the sprinklers skipped a section, are almost never from drought. Most people assume heat or lack of water and add more water at night. That is exactly the wrong move, because those patches are a fungus called brown patch, Rhizoctonia solani, and nighttime watering is what feeds it. The grass blades stay wet for 10 or 12 hours in warm, humid air, and the fungus spreads without anything slowing it down. Amish farmers have dealt with fungal disease in their crops for a long time, and the fix follows the same logic they apply to everything. Stop creating the conditions the problem needs, then use what the land already provides to correct it. Stop watering in the evening entirely. Water only at sunrise so the blades dry out by mid-morning before temperatures climb. For the patches already there, cornmeal. The same cornmeal in the baking aisle at any grocery store, spread at about 1 pound per 100 square feet, does the job. Cornmeal hosts a naturally occurring soil fungus called trichoderma that outcompetes brown patch and shuts it down. Texas A&M has documented this in agricultural research for decades. The patches recover in 2 to 3 weeks for about $10 across the whole yard. Every weed growing in a lawn is growing where the grass is too thin to hold the ground. Clover, dandelions, plantain, crabgrass, none of them steal space from a dense, healthy lawn. They move into the gaps where the grass has already retreated. The Amish understand this from farming. A strong stand of a crop leaves no opening for weeds. A weak stand is an open invitation. The fix is density. Overseed in early fall at 2 to 3 times the rate printed on the seed bag. That rate on the bag is a minimum, not a target. Early fall, specifically mid-September, is the only window in most American climates where grass seed establishes reliably, because the nights are cooling, but the soil is still warm. A thick, dense lawn shades the soil surface and gives weed seeds nowhere to germinate. For weeds already in the lawn, the morning after a good rain, when the soil is soft, grip each one at the base and pull straight up slowly. The whole root comes out clean. 5 minutes a day done consistently replaces every bottle of weed killer in the garage and does not leave any chemical residue behind. If you find this useful, go ahead and like this video, share it with someone fighting the same lawn battles, and subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. Bare spots near walkways, gates, high traffic paths, and wherever kids cut through the yard keep coming back, no matter how many times they get reseeded, because the actual problem is never addressed. The soil underneath has been compressed by years of foot traffic down to something close to hardpan. Grassroots cannot push through compacted soil. Throwing seed on top of it is wasted money. The Amish approach to compacted ground on a farm path or around a barn is the same in principle. Break it up, open it, let it breathe. A garden fork, the flat-tined kind, not a pitchfork, pushed straight into the bare area every 6 inches and rocked gently back and forth, fractures the compressed soil without removing it. Then a 1/4 inch of finished compost is spread over the top, seed goes down in early fall, and the spot fills in within 1 growing season. The roots have somewhere to go now, so they go there, and the spot stays filled because the underlying cause was actually fixed. White grubs eating the root system of a lawn are almost always Japanese beetle larvae. The name says where they came from. Japanese beetles arrived in the United States accidentally in 1916 on a shipment of iris bulbs, and they became a major pest here in a way they never did in their place of origin. In Japan, beetle populations stay low because the soil supports a full ecosystem of natural predators, parasitic wasps, ground beetles, birds, and beneficial nematodes, microscopic predator worms that live in healthy soil. Those predators keep grub populations from ever exploding. American soil, after decades of synthetic lawn chemicals, has lost most of those predators. The grubs multiply without anything hunting them. The Amish solution to pest pressure on crops is always to restore what keeps the pest in check, not to poison the pest repeatedly and destroy everything else in the process. Beneficial nematodes are available at most garden centers for around $25 a package. Applied at dusk in late August, when grub larvae are near the soil surface, they hunt down and kill the grubs within days. No chemicals involved, no harm to earthworms, birds, pets, or the soil microbiome. The chemical grub killers, the ones recommended at every garden center each spring, move through the soil and kill the earthworms and beneficial nematodes that would have managed the next generation of grubs on their own. By year 3 on chemical grub control, the lawn is entirely dependent on the chemical because every natural predator has been eliminated. The nematode approach does the same job and gets stronger over time as the population establishes. The soggy low spots in a yard that never fully dry out, usually near a downspout or in a flat corner or anywhere below a slope, are almost always caused by a hardpan clay layer sitting 12 to 18 inches below the surface. The topsoil drains fine. The clay underneath does not, so water sits on top of it. The standard American fix is a French drain installed by a contractor for $2,000 to $4,000. The Amish method for wet ground on a farm is to open a channel for the water to move through. A hand auger or rented power auger drills 4-inch holes every 3 feet across the wet area. The holes are backfilled with washed gravel up to about 2 inches below the surface, then topped with a thin layer of soil and grass seed. Water moves down through the topsoil into each gravel column and drains laterally into the deeper subsoil. The materials cost around $40. Half a day of work. The drainage improvement is permanent because the structure stays in place. Chapter 6. Dog spots. The yellow burn spots where a dog goes are a nitrogen and salt problem, not a disease or fungus. Dog urine contains concentrated nitrogen and salts that the grass cannot process when delivered in one spot at high concentration, so the tissue burns. The Amish approach to this is immediate dilution, the same logic they apply to any concentrated input on the land. Within 5 minutes of the dog going, pour a full watering can of plain water over the spot. The nitrogen disperses to a level the grass can handle. The salts wash deeper, and the grass survives. For spots already burned, reseed them with perennial ryegrass rather than whatever blend was originally there. Perennial ryegrass tolerates urine salt considerably better than Kentucky bluegrass, which is what most lawn seed mixes lean on. About $30 of seed handles an average yard, and the yellow spots stop forming once the ryegrass establishes in those areas. The persistent yellow color that does not respond to more fertilizer is almost never a nitrogen deficiency. Grass needs iron to produce chlorophyll, the green pigment, and most American lawns are iron deficient. The grass looks pale and yellow while the homeowner pours more nitrogen on top of a deficiency the nitrogen cannot fix. Chelated iron supplement costs about $15 at any garden center. Mixed with water according to labeled directions and sprayed across the lawn with a hose end sprayer, it turns the lawn deep green within 48 hours. The change is significant enough that neighbors notice. Most people have spent years and hundreds of dollars on fertilizer programs for a problem that was never about nitrogen. The 4-step fertilizer programs sold at every home improvement store operate on the same basic premise. Apply synthetic nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium on a schedule and the lawn stays green. What they do not advertise is what happens underneath. Synthetic NPK fertilizer produces fast green growth above ground while doing very little for root depth. The grass grows quickly, looks good briefly, and becomes dependent on the next application because it never built a deep root system on its own. The synthetic salts in the fertilizer slowly kill the soil microbiome, the bacteria, the fungi, and the earthworms that build natural fertility over time. Each year requires slightly more product to get the same surface result, and each year the soil underneath is less capable of supporting the lawn independently. The pre-emergent crabgrass killers kill the same beneficial soil fungi that would otherwise suppress weed germination naturally. The herbicides in weed and feed combinations have been linked in multiple peer-reviewed studies to non-Hodgkin lymphoma in homeowners who apply them regularly. The lime that garden centers push every spring is only useful if a soil test shows the soil is actually too acidic, and most American lawns tested do not need lime at all. None of it is necessary once the soil is functioning correctly. The Amish did not arrive at this by reading studies. They arrived at it by watching what healthy land does on its own when it is not interfered with. One honest note for anyone whose lawn has been on chemical programs for a decade or more. The soil underneath is likely depleted, and the transition to a soil-first approach takes 2 to 3 growing seasons to fully show results. The first year off synthetic programs, the lawn may look less impressive before the microbial life recovers and the grass roots deepen. By the end of the second season, it is visibly recovering. By season 3, it is thicker, greener, and lower maintenance than it ever was on chemicals. The Amish perspective on that timeline is straightforward. You are not managing a lawn, you are rebuilding a piece of land. That takes a few seasons, not a weekend. Everything that works in Amish land management comes back to the same idea. Build the soil, and what grows in it takes care of itself. They do not fight their fields season by season. They invest in the soil steadily, and the soil pays it back year after year. For a lawn, this translates into a small number of consistent habits that replace the whole Saturday morning routine most American homeowners are stuck in. Mowing height is where most American lawns go wrong from the start. The right height is 3.5 to 4 inches in summer, 3 inches in spring and fall. Most Americans mow at 2 to 2.5 inches because that is what a golf course looks like. A residential lawn cut that short scalps the crown of each grass plant, encourages weed seeds to germinate in the exposed soil, dries out faster, and pushes the root system to stay shallow. A lawn kept at 4 inches develops roots that reach 8 to 12 inches deep, shades out weed seeds before they can germinate, and holds moisture through dry weeks without irrigation. Set the mower 1 notch higher than feels right. Within 2 weeks, it becomes obvious why. Watering once a week deeply at sunrise, applied to a depth of 6 inches into the soil, is the Amish field approach applied to a lawn. Push a screwdriver into the ground after watering. If it goes in 6 inches, enough water was applied. If it stops at 2, keep going. Deep and frequent watering forces roots downward into the cool, stable soil. Daily shallow watering trains roots to stay in the top inch where they dry out the moment a hot week arrives. This single change in watering habit eliminates most summer drought damage without adding any irrigation infrastructure. If you find this approach makes sense and want to see more of it applied to other problems around the yard and home, subscribe to the channel. See you soon.